Talking more, yeah.
Talking.
You guys are talking.
We're talking
Oh,
a
really?
lot.
A lot of talkers.
I would agree with that.
This podcast is called Erase the Filter.
Erase the filter.
Erase the filter.
Attention all travelers, it is important that you keep a close watch on your baggage and carry-on items. Do not leave items unattended at any time. Do not accept articles from unknown persons to carry onto aircraft. Maintain control of your carry-on items to prevent introduction.
Jason Sloan is an electronic musician, composer, and sound artist currently residing in Baltimore, Maryland. His work explores immateriality and its relationship to memory, systems, and the virtual world. He's been releasing music in the ambient and space music scenes for close to 2 decades. His discography includes over a dozen ambient solo albums, and then another half-dozen post-punk and minimal wave releases under the moniker L'Avenir. The 2 projects are interrelated, but distinctively different sides of the music of Jason Sloan.
I have 2 veins, I guess you could call it, to my output in my work. I've done ambient, atmospheric, electronic music for close to 17 to 18 years. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, I started to take a little journey towards more of a 80s post-punk synth-pop vein, which has been a passion of mine, and I've always loved that type of music, so it kind of made sense. I've always been drawn to the atmospheric side of that type of music, which is where I think I ended up spinning off anyway to create the ambient music, and really went down that path. But kind of came back to really what my true passion is,
Okay.
So yeah, but I love all music. So
when you release an album under your proper name, Jason Sloan,
correct.
That's the ambient music,
and that's where I created the division between it to try to. I hope it's to clarify that. So when stuff comes out under the L'Avenir moniker, that's the minimal wave, dark synth stuff.
Still just you solo, even live,
correct.
Right?
Yes.
Although L'Avenir has claimed the lion's share of Sloan's attention over the past several years, he continues to actively work in both the minimal wave space and the ambient space. Here's a taste of his ambient work. It's the title track from his 2016 solo record called Haven. Jason Sloan has a few new projects in the works, including an ambient follow-up to Haven.
I have a new ambient record that's pretty much finished. I'm just in the process of polishing and maybe adding a couple more post-production things. It's probably going to be close to 60 minutes, 4 or 5 tracks on that. It's along the lines of Haven. It's interesting because I started out when I was doing this type of music, the atmospheric stuff, really in the pure space, beatless, tonal textures area, and I have so many albums under my name with that style. But then it really started moving more towards rhythmic, sequencer-based music, because I love that kind of stuff too. And I think it was just really attributed to as I learned more about the technology and how to create different things, and it just naturally moved that direction.
Okay.
So that's where I think Haven, it's been kind of labeled as my most accessible ambient record somebody did, which I thought was really kind of funny. 2 people are like, this is Jason Sloan's most accessible ambient record. I'm like, okay, but
that's really cool.
Yeah, but I think that's really what it is, because it is less of this tone float.
Gotcha.
If you will, less soundscape in this sort of blurred watercolor sense, and it's more structured musically in more of a traditional sense. And again, when you talk about that music, it's to say traditionals,
Right. That's a track called Black Day from L'Avenir. There are new L'Avenir releases on the horizon as well.
The new Lavenier record is definitely, this album I think is going to be a little darker. It's a little heavier in terms of a little more industrial, I guess you could say. The percussion and stuff is definitely more so. It's interesting when I listen back to the first Lavenier record, I'm still finding my footing, and I've always loved singing. And I've always did choir and stuff in high school and all that, but it just with the instrumental ambient music, I'd kind of gotten away from that. So the first record, when I listen back to it, I'm still proud of that, but it just like my vocals like so saturated in reverb, and it's just kind of fun. It's like very Lycia, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's kind of funny. But I think it was just my lack of confidence really in a lot of ways. And it's definitely more stripped back in that respect. Now there's less vocal on less reverb on the vocal and things.
So you're letting your true voice.
I'm much more comfortable. So I do karaoke every week, so that's kind of helps me.
I never would have guessed that.
What's
your favorite karaoke
I love it.
song?
Oh man, I do everything from like Peter Murphy to Depeche Mode, Men at Work, Tears for Fears. You know, all the good stuff, all the crucial stuff.
Right on. Is there a particular bar that you?
Yeah, but that's going to go unnamed. That's my secret. I don't need people turning up. Sign my ambient record. No, I'm kidding.
Alexa, volume up.
Erase the filter.
This is a little bit of a dual personality musical life.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize?
You know, to me, there isn't really a. It's just where I'm really happy. I guess it's in a lot of ways you could think of it as being bilingual or multilingual. Okay. They're all languages. They're all music. It's just that the way that it's organized is a little different.
Right.
I use the same instrument. Well, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of synthesizers and equipment, but it's just a lot of it's used for the ambient stuff, and then a lot of it's used the same stuff for the Lavenier stuff. So it's just and it's just where my heart or my head's at the moment.
Gotcha.
Is how I prioritize in terms of that, that respect. I don't see a huge division between it. It's all contemplative, atmospheric music in a lot of ways. I hear a lot of my ambient music in the Lavenier stuff.
Sure.
And vice versa.
Sure. If it's a race to the next album, which one's coming out first?
Lavenier.
And what's the timeline on that?
I have a split I'm doing right now with Silent Signals that's coming out probably in the fall.
Okay.
It's a split vinyl release. And then the new Lavenier full album will be out, my guess is spring 2019 on Cold Beats Records out of Spain, which is my label for the full albums.
I know you've been doing this for a long time. And so you've come full circle from the your first record, I think, is 99, right?
98.
98. So right at the beginning of the CDR, the ability to burn a
MP3.com, baby.
Right. Right.
Remember
exactly.
that?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we were transitioning from these old formats to these new formats at that time. As an artist that's been consistently putting out music, what do you think and how do you feel about the vinyl resurgence?
I think it's wonderful, honestly. I'm somebody that listens to music on all formats. I've never gotten rid of my turntable. I've never gotten rid of my cassette deck. I still have a DAT machine. I have an MD player, I have music on all formats. I think it's wonderful, honestly. I think that there's something to tactility in music and the longevity. I don't like it when it's very sort of ephemeral. If a hard drive crashes and you haven't backed it up, all your music's gone. I don't want someone else to control my music library either, like Amazon Music or something. No, not poo-pooing Amazon, but
no, I got it.
But they can curate what you want, or if they decide that they're going to let their licensing for something go, and that's my only way of acquiring it, then it's gone. So I want to have a hard copy of everything. I think that it's really great, and I think the new generation, like with my students and stuff, that they're really getting back into vinyl and things. It takes us back to the art of sequencing a record correctly, because to me it's a story. I think about that when I create an album. I don't like the a la carte, way of receiving music where I just kind of handpick a track here or there. I think that art form is lost, where you think of a side of an album, as a complete piece, because if you just happen to, that's all the time you have, then
Right.
it has to kind of have some sort of a finale on that side. But then at the same time, it also has to be able to pick up. It's like,
Yeah.
two parts of a play.
I really didn't think that it was going to come back as an independent artist, that we were going to be able to make records. There reached a point where I just felt like that was over. I made a 7-inch in 1997, 96. And that was my only vinyl.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was ever going to be a thing.
Yeah, and I didn't. I mean, obviously the pressing plants didn't either, because there's more demand now, and the equipment isn't
Right.
up to the task.
One last thing. From an emotional perspective, what does your music do for you? Why do you do it? Why do you make it?
This sounds, not to sound pretentious, but it's an honest answer. It's just I make it because I have to. There's something in me that drives me to create, and I've always been like that ever since I was a little kid. I'd be making music whether people listen to it or not, or I'd be making art whether anybody listened to it or not. It's a necessity, and it's just something that's in me to do it. And I have colleagues that say the same thing. I was always drawing or making something or dancing to the dishwasher or something when I was a kid, and it was just I was always drawn to creating some sort of output. And for me it's the way. There's no other way.
Jason Sloan's work is well documented at his website, jasonsloan.com. The music can be heard and is available for purchase through all of the usual digital online channels, including his Bandcamp page, jasonsloan.bandcamp.com. Links in the show post. And special thanks to Jason for visiting us live and in person here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania to perform an ambient show at the 6th floor back in June of this year.
Now I know what podcasts are.
Erase the filter.
1:40 a.m. Charlotte International Airport, Charlotte, North Carolina. I was trying to get to Phoenix, so I got on a plane in Baltimore this morning around lunchtime, and it was delayed for mechanical reasons, which then delayed it to a point where then it was delayed for weather-related reasons, which means that when I finally got to Charlotte, the flight was the connection was missed. I was trying to get to Phoenix. So my flight from Charlotte to Phoenix was gone. The next flight was delayed for weather, and it was delayed 8 times. So every time you would get within maybe a half hour of boarding, it would be delayed again. And that went on until 11 p.m. So from about 4:30 to 11, at which time the flight was canceled. I was trying to get to Phoenix. And it wasn't the only flight that was canceled. There was a flight to Dallas, Los Angeles, Minnesota, all canceled at like 11 o'clock Sunday night. So, so me and a few hundred of my close friends queued up at customer service, and we stood in line for a couple of hours, and we all also called in to reservations and played the little game to see if we would get to the counter before they answered the phone, or if they would answer the phone before we get to the counter. Well, I got to the counter and talked to Tawana, and I was really, really happy to talk to her. And she hooked me up. I was trying to get to Phoenix. She hooked me up with a flight to Phoenix at 8 a.m. But it's through Atlanta. It's interesting how, in different contexts, news can be really good or really bad. When I received the news that I would be in Phoenix by noon local time, it was great news. Very welcome. I'm sure that the same information delivered to me at a different time would have been just very dreadful.
I was trying to get to Phoenix.
It's a little too late to get to a hotel and then be back to go through security at 6:30 in the morning. It's only about 5 hours from now. So I get to experience the Charlotte, whatever it's called, Charlotte International, I think Douglas might be in the name, airport, in the middle of the night. And I'm on the rocking chairs. If you've ever been to the Charlotte airport for a connection, which is pretty much anyone who flies has been through Charlotte to connect, you know where the rocking chairs are. I got lucky. I got a rocking chair. I'm watching the guys dust the airplane mobile above the sushi bar. There's some security guys powwowing at the piano. It looks like it looks like a very important meeting happening there. Starbucks is still open. Very smart, because I just filled up on Starbucks crap. Coffee frappuccino, got me a chocolate muffin, even a banana, a really, really ripe, probably should have gone away or been used for smoothies type banana.
I was trying to get to Phoenix.
It's 3 a.m. Still at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Got the official name, Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Code CLT, for those of you who use airport codes. I moved it down to the C concourse, to the gate that I'll be leaving from at 8 a.m. Heading to Atlanta, and a lot of weary travelers down here. A lot of people snoring. A lot of blankets. People laying on the floor. It's freezing cold. I think the air conditioning is probably still set for the thousands who were crammed in this space only a few hours ago. Probably didn't adjust that down. In any event, I have to say it's the first time I've spent a night, or morning as it were, in the Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Rocking chair got a little uncomfortable. Of course, I'm probably just a little grumpy right about now. 3 a.m.
I was trying to get to Phoenix.
Almost 6 a.m. Making my way back to Starbucks. I think I might have slept a little bit. Hard to tell. Gonna get on a jet plane here in a couple hours, God willing, and the creeks don't rise, and head out to the desert. People are starting to wake up. It's sort of like it's sort of like being at a campground right when the first light comes up, and you start to see people coming out of their tents. It's a lot like that tonight, or this morning, I should say. Very surreal. Things are starting to shake up a little bit. All the real travelers or regular travelers are starting to roll in, and they're curiously looking around.
Travelers, it is important that you keep a close watch on your baggage and carry on items. Do not leave items unattended at any time. Do not accept articles from unknown persons to carry onto aircraft. Maintain control of your carry-on items to prevent introduction of dangerous articles without your knowledge. Do not carry items belonging to others. Note that all bags are subject to search. Report any suspicious persons or unusual activity to your nearest law enforcement officer. Thank you, and have a good flight.
And with that, good day. This is Jason Mundock. Thanks for listening to Erase the Filter. Show notes can be found at erasethefilter.com, and if you have feedback about the show, feel free to email me at jmundok, jmundok, @gmail.com. And always remember,
Open your mind.
Be yourself.
erase the filter.